In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to make low-fat ziti using ground turkey breast. What I'm doing here is I am cooking the meat, my ground turkey breast, along with chopped onions and peppers in 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. Of course, you can use any kind of oil you want. I'm using vegetable oil, even though I do love olive oil, but I'm not using it in this case. I prefer to use vegetable oil. You don't want to use cooking spray to brown your meat or to cook your meat because it's not very effective when you're doing this. It's going to dry up quickly and the meat is going to stick to the pan. So you don't want to use cooking spray whenever you're cooking your meat. And I like to cook my vegetables along with my meat. You want to be sure that you break up your meat as you're cooking it because you want it to be thoroughly cooked. And I'm adding 1/2 teaspoon of salt because I do feel that it needs a little bit more salt. And I'm also adding a 1/2 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Feel free to add whatever spices you like. Unfortunately, I don't have any minced garlic today. I usually keep a jar in my refrigerator, but I'm out. But I do have garlic powder, so I'm going to substitute garlic powder for the minced garlic. I'm using about a little less than 1/2 teaspoon. It's pretty potent, so you don't want to use too much garlic powder. Not as much as you would fresh garlic or minced garlic in a jar. But of course, feel free to use whatever spices you want and as much as you like, or as little as you like. I'm adding 1/8 teaspoon ground pepper. You can add more if you like, or you can omit it entirely. It's up to you. I feel that 1/8 is enough for this dish. And of course, I'm making sure that all my turkey is thoroughly cooked. You don't want to overcook your turkey because it does tend to get dry. In this dish, you're going to, pour marinara sauce all over your turkey and ricotta cheese. So that is going to keep it moist, but just don't overcook it. But you do want to make sure that there's no more pink left in your meat. Ground beef is much easier to cook than ground turkey, in my opinion, because you can see when the ground beef is done. But with turkey, it's a little bit harder to see. That's why I like to break my, chunks of meat apart with a spoon and make them as small as possible so that I can make sure that everything is good and done. Because to me, there's nothing worse than eating raw poultry. You don't want to do that. Now it's time to add your favorite marinara sauce. I prefer to use ragu. I have used Paul Newman in the past, but I switched to ragu because as much as I like Paul Newman and his products, I just like ragu spaghetti sauce or pasta sauce better. My usual favorite is the sauteed onion, but they didn't have that in the store, so I'm using one that has little pieces of mushroom and I think green pepper, but I've also chopped up my own green pepper too. Now it's time to add your 1 cup of ricotta cheese. You don't want to add the whole container because this is supposed to be a lower fat dish. So you're just adding 1 cup and you're going to stir it into this mixture you have of the marinara sauce, the meat, and the vegetables until it's melted. Now you're going to add your cooked penne pasta or ziti if you're using ziti. I know that said this is baked ziti, but I don't have ziti on hand, so penne pasta is a very good substitute. This is cooked penne, so it's equal to about 2 1/4 cups of uncooked pasta. You're going to boil 2 1/4 cup uncooked pasta, and when it's done, you're going to add it to the meat and sauce mixture. This is what it looks like when you put it in your casserole dish. This is about a 9 by 13 or somewhere around there. Now, I realize that I'm out of shredded mozzarella. I always use part skim shredded mozzarella, but that's okay. I have something to take its place. I'm going to top it off with some sliced mozzarella cheese. You're not using a whole lot of cheese in this dish, so it may sound like a lot, but it's not. You're just gonna put about 6 or 8 slices. I'm not sure how many will fit, probably 6. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Sometimes if I have shredded mozzarella, and let's say I have a slightly less than half a cup, then I may compensate for that by using a little bit of Parmesan cheese. But you don't want to use too much Parmesan. I mean, you want to try to not use too much cheese, period, because it's supposed to be low fat. But a little bit of Parmesan cheese is not going to do anything. It's not going to hurt you. And there you go. Now, I needed to use more than 6 slices. I ended up using 7. I just tore 1 in half, as you can see, so that, you know, the casserole, the dish is fully covered with cheese because I love cheese. You're going to bake this in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about maybe 40 to 50 minutes is what the original recipe says. This is an old Weight Watchers recipe. However, you may have to adjust either your oven temperature or your cooking time depending on your oven. Like mine is probably off, you know, it cooks things too fast. So I always adjust my temperature and my baking time. Usually I cook this about 30 minutes. So you'll know whenever it's done because you can smell it. And also you can see that the cheese is beginning to get brown on top. So you'll know by the way it looks and the way it smells that it's time to pull it out of the oven. Okay, I'm gonna stick this in the oven and let's see how it turns out in about 30 minutes. Doesn't that look good? And see how the cheese slices all melted together? Yum. You can still hear it sizzling. And here you go, this is the final result. This dish is always a hit in my home. It's very easy to make, and I feel like it's a little healthier than using pork or beef. Not that I dislike pork or beef, I like both of them, but sometimes I want to cook a healthier meal. So guys, please subscribe to my channel because I do plan to upload similar content in the future, and please let me know what you think down in the comments section.